Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pop Cult Podcast. I am Alice, and I have one of my favorite artists in the building today, Ross from Dead on a Sunday. Yay! Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. I am jazzed on some caffeine because I work at a coffee shop, so I got some coffee in me today.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can't drink too much coffee. It makes me like shaky.
Yeah, it can for me too, because I have ADHD on top of drinking coffee. So, yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking do like a little bit of like the history of you and how you got started doing music and lead up to what you do now. So, what is the beginnings of your musical journey?
Um, I think I really liked guitar bands when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
By guitar bands I mean like Iron Maiden and Def older guitar bands. I'm older, so
Yes.
like, Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, stuff like that. And I think that was I think I really liked their guitar stuff. It was always really cool, and it just did something to me as a kid, I guess, that made me want to get a guitar and play. I never really took guitar very seriously though. It's hard. It's hard to get good at guitar. So
Yeah.
there's that learning curve, which especially when you're like really young can be, you know, it can be challenging and a little disheartening when you're not like shredding overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I did that, kind of just messed around with the guitar for a while, and then and I got out of high school. I like kind of met some guys, and a friend of mine got a drum kit, and like we kind of started like a thrash band.
Oh,
Um,
I love that.
yeah, we wanted to be like Slayer and like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like bands like that. And yeah, I think it just kind of moved through there through like a series of me playing guitar in bands. And into where I got into producing maybe around like 2012 or 13. I think I got into producing, and I got into producing like electronic music. So I made a lot of like kind of like future beat stuff and like house and music like that, and just electronic music for a lot of years. But I still had that kind of rock background. So I think it always kind of crept into those productions. And fast forward to like maybe right around like lockdown time, I had always kind of wanted to sing in a rock band, and I always kind of felt like that was something I was meant to do or supposed to do, and or just had like this burning desire to do. Um, and I figured, nothing else is going on right now. Just give it a shot. So, so I wrote a song called "So What If It Kills Me," and that's ended up on the first Dead on a Sunday record. Um, a lot of songs that were on that record and the second record were kind of written and demoed around like that sort of initial um, phase of me being interested in singing in like a rock band thing. So
Yeah, I think I discovered you around that time too on TikTok, and I remember you did your cover of the Lady Gaga song, which went super wild for you, which was
yeah,
incredible.
I love Lady Gaga and I like that song, but I don't like I never liked the tempo of that song. I always felt like it was more of an 80s song and slower. I know there's a bunch of like Lady Gaga fans that'll
Yeah.
disagree with that, but I think when I hear a song and I have an idea to cover it, it's never for me to replicate what the artist is doing.
Mhm.
I have to hear it a certain way, and I have to consider what I might be able to bring to the table that puts it into a different light and like a different context. And there's like I call it reimagining. I don't really like people be like, oh, it's a cover, and it's like, well, covers to me are when you sort of just play the song
Yeah.
exactly how it is. And my covers, they tend to change lyrics, they tend to change keys, moods. My Britney Spears cover changes melodies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of artists get crap when they have a lot of covers in their catalog. I'll use Ghost as an example because all of their EPs they've ever done have pretty much all been cover songs. And they're
Hmm.
all good and done in their own way, so it's never like, oh, you can tell it's so and so's song. It's made their way like what you do.
It's people are interesting with the cover thing. The covers are tricky. One is everybody has an opinion when it's a cover of a song that's already been done and it's
Yeah.
popular. So everybody thinks that bunch of people that aren't musicians, by the way, that just want to have a fucking
Yeah.
opinion. They think that, they have some kind of opinion on how this should go or what's right or what's wrong, when really music's so subjective. There's never a clear, defined winner. It's just
Yeah.
subjective to your tastes. And then, covers are weird too. It's like, especially in this age, because like we have this, covers have been going on forever. And right now we live in this time where like, it's kind of like remix culture. Like all the old movies are remade and everything's like nostalgia's like the drug everyone chases. So, it's easy to do. It's kind of almost easy to capitalize off nostalgia. And so you get a lot of people doing covers, but we also have this thing where it's like all these people making like AI music and AI covers and like
Yes.
flooding the internet with that. So it's like when people are giving me
Yeah.
shit about a cover, I'm like, with all this other stuff's happening, you're like, you're mad at me about a cover? Like
Yeah.
a real person that makes real music, you're mad at me. Okay, got it.
And tell me you don't listen to my music without telling me you don't listen to my music. Like,
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's yeah, and people be like, "Oh, you're just a cover band." And it's like, you kind of when you do covers and you get traction on the internet for doing covers, you do run the risk of getting the kind of stigma of, well, you're just a cover band. And it's like, well, I mean, if you looked across like three other things, you'd see that's not true, but people are idiots, so here we are.
that's just how the internet works. It's full of idiots, and then you have the small group that is super supportive of what you do. And to me, that's the people that matter, because I'm just a small
Yeah.
little podcast. So I've gotten shit because I interviewed a lawsuit ghoul a couple of months ago, and people were so mad at me for it. It's like, so what? That was 10 years ago, people.
Yeah, people just, I think, especially right now, I think a lot of people are kind of have been at a breaking point for like a long time. And sadly, as cool as the internet is, it's given every moron like an opinion
Yeah.
and, and a way to voice their opinion. And I feel like we've really run into this thing with society where everybody just so badly has to be right and wants to be right. There's no conversation to ever be had. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm right. This is my ideology and this is my opinion and these are the facts that I, subscribe to, and this is my religion, is these politics, and I'm just right, and fuck you, I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
any other opinion, you
Even
know.
if they're so wrong, then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever, people. That's the kind of people I just block or don't even respond to anymore because it's not worth my time.
Yeah, I like those people. Pete, I'll
I
tell you
like to
why.
sometimes pick on them and see how far it goes because it's like if I
I
got time today, I'm gonna go for it.
I always pick on them, but and people will be like, "Why do you entertain these idiots?" And I'll be like, "Well, because what they are doing is just they're feeding my algorithm, so my videos go further and further and
Yeah.
further, and then more people hear it, and then if a few people in those 100 people that are exposed to it end up digging deeper into the band and like the music, then I'm winning." So
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. That's what
Mhm.
people don't understand. It's like interacting with content you don't like is just gonna show it to you more.
Oh yeah, there's that whole thing too, where people will get mad at me because like I'll post, they'll be like, "You only have this one song," and it's like, no, that's actually it's because you interacted with that particular thing, and so it's only showing you when I post that song. But
Yeah.
it's so people just but it's the internet. Here we are.
Yeah. I mean, also the internet can be a beautiful thing because we can do stuff like this. So there's pluses and minuses to having internet.
Oh, look, I love the internet. The internet's tight. If it wasn't for the internet, I wouldn't have a music career. Like
Yeah.
this stuff was so like fenced off and gate kept, and I'm in my 40s, so I spent a lot of time growing up in the 90s and in the 2000s trying to like make it in a band, and I know how like fenced off and gate kept that is, and how everything's like it's all like who and whose ass
Yep.
you can suck, and now it's like you can have like a community and a niche and like start your own little community of people and your own little like subculture almost. And there's all kinds of that, and it's made it like wildly more accessible for artists like me who aren't interested in like super mainstream success or being on a big label and stuff like that to actually like do what they love and create the things they want to make and still have like an audience, you know,
Yeah.
and build a career out of it. So,
Yes, and I've had the joy of seeing you, I believe, 4 times at this point.
yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, you've probably seen us like change and hopefully grow a lot over the course of
Yeah.
a few years. So,
Yeah, because I mean, I believe I went to the first like big tour you guys had because I've gone to every Columbus show and then I saw you guys at Dark Forest Fest as well. And that was
mm,
it's definitely been fun to see the progression because I've seen you with a few different people playing with you to now it's
mm-mm.
just you and is your drummer's name Tim?
Yeah, it's just me
Yeah.
and Tim and now and but now it will just be now it'll be me and some other guys
Hmm.
starting here soon. Tim's not like out of the band, but he's like he's doing some other things next year,
Hmm.
so I'm bringing some different people.
Yeah, which I'm excited to see. I always love
Hmm.
supporting whoever is with anybody that I like because everybody is a small, starving musician, and that's my favorite type of musician. So,
Yeah, there's like I think the tricky thing is there's like a hunger there. I think when artists like struggle a little bit,
hmm.
and I think when there's success and money, I think that equals comfort, and then I think comfort equals complacency. You get complacent in your art, and like I think that is where we run into the thing of like, you know, X, Y, or Z successful band. Oh, their first two or three records are great, and then everything after that sucks. You know, that's like a
Yeah.
opinion a lot of people have about artists, and you know, a lot of that is I equate to. I think maybe the hunger to make creative art and push boundaries. Um, once the artist gets kind of comfortable and complacent, that hunger kind of goes away, or they'll start to feel a need to almost kind of like pander to maybe more of this generic or mainstream formula. I'm not saying that I don't
Yeah.
do that. I'm just saying that I think that's a thing because I notice it with myself too, where I struggle sometimes when I'm creating to like really go the extra mile on something and not just be like comfortable with the way that things are or have been and not push myself, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. I am starting to do my own music. I'm still workshopping stuff and all that stuff. So I get it because like I get stuck in like, oh, I want to sound like this inspiration mixed with this one. And then sometimes it's like, oh, but that can't work together. But then it's a struggle to figure out what you want to do and how you want to put it across without it being too strange to put together.
Yeah, it is really hard to, it's imposter syndrome, you know,
Hmm.
and, but it is hard because you hear things and you're like, oh, you know, I love the way that this thing sounds and I want to make something that sounds like that. But, you know, with me, it's like I only have to know how to do this thing one way, and that is for it. It comes out, and obviously, I wear my influences on my sleeve, and I'm fine with
Yes.
that. A lot of people like say I sound like Davey Havoc or something, and I love AFI, but it's like I don't intentionally try to sound like Davey Havoc. It's just so happens that that guy and myself have a very similar like vocal thing that happens, and him and I were clearly very influenced by like 80s and 70s singers like you know Depeche Mode and David Bowie, and so it's like you sort of, you know, I get into that thing too, where it's like an imposter syndrome, where I'll make something and be like, "Is this tone sound too much like Davey Havoc?"
Yeah.
And then I'll have to be like, "Well, no, but this is just how I sing, so I can't. If I try to change it, then I'm doing myself the disservice of trying to sound like something maybe I'm not." It gets tricky. It
Yeah,
gets
it
yeah.
can,
Hmm.
definitely. Now, I want to talk about something that we have in common and obviously on my wall, but Ghost. We're both
Mm.
Ghost fans. How long have you been a Ghost fan?
I was exposed to Ghost in 2016. Rats.
Mhm.
That was the first song I ever heard of theirs.
Yeah, I think. Was it 2016? I don't remember. Anyway, I think it might have been 2017, but close enough.
2017. Okay,
I
yeah,
think
it's in
so, because I
there.
think Meliora was 2016. But yeah, Rats is a good one. I think mine was Square Hammer because I've been about 10 years, I would say. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's a great song. No, they have great songs. I Ghost is a band that I didn't really get it at first.
yeah, agreed.
A lot of bands I really like, I fucking hate when I first like I hated AFI when I first heard it.
Hmm.
And that's like one of my favorite bands. I didn't understand Typo when I first heard it. It's one of my favorite
Yeah,
bands.
same.
I think because the reaction to it is that it's so like different, and you
Hmm.
almost don't know how to take it at first. Um, but then you just kind of keep like Ghost. I just like kind of kept. I'm not
Yeah,
like a massive Ghost fan like you, but
yeah,
I catch myself keep coming back and listening to it, and I was like,
yeah.
and then I'd be like, start to realize like, oh, I really like this band, you know.
Yeah, and that was kind of like my journey with Typo Negative because like my dad's a big Typo Negative fan. He's why I like a lot of the artists I like because I was around it growing up. And Typo Negative was one I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste. It's Typo's a very, and I think my band's a lot like Typo in the sense of it's very like you get it or you don't. Like you like
Yeah,
it or you don't. There's not a lot of like gray area where it's like this band's okay. It's like I really like this or I just fucking hate this. So
yeah,
mhm.
100%. I think that's probably why I like you guys because I've come around to Typo Negative as I've gotten older and liking their sound. Because Peter Steele's voice can be jarring to those who aren't used to that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, where's that voice? Oh, I don't like that. And then eventually I was like, okay, I can appreciate his voice more now that.
Yeah, it's really with stuff like that. It's like you gotta hear it in at the right time, and it has to be like the right song. To
Yeah.
get it, like, because you might hear 5 albums by this band and never get it, and then there's just some song that's buried somewhere, and you just randomly hear it on your own one day. Someone's not forcing it down your throat. You just hear it, and like you understand the context in which it's like meant to be enjoyed, and or it has some emotional impact on you, and then
Yeah.
I think that's how, at least for me, that's how I get into music. I can't get into something where somebody shows me something like this is fucking rad, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it's cool, but like for the stuff I really like, I kind of have to find it on my own and like
Yeah.
on my own terms.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same because my dad's like big into industrial music and I didn't used to be, but I am now. And I did it on my own time because he was like showing me stuff. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then eventually I went into it by myself, listening to stuff like Skinny Puppy, Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, all that kind of stuff. And then by going into those bigger artists and industrial, I found other ones that aren't as well known as like Skinny Puppy and all of them. So it is a journey for sure.
Yeah, it's exciting finding like a new sound or a new artist that you really like, and then getting down sort of like a rabbit hole of things that are adjacent to that and that
Yeah.
genre. Yeah, yeah, that's what breeds like getting down those rabbit holes is what gives me inspiration and breeds creativity and like makes me want to write new songs and new albums and such.
Yeah, totally. Like a band that's so obscure that I don't think unless you're like really big into like the EBM scene, you would know The Clinic. They're from
Yeah.
Belgium and they're really strange, but I love them because they are strange.
Yeah, a lot of that sort of like yeah, electric body music, like German made stuff
Yeah.
stuff is it gets pretty weird, but really that's where a lot of like I think some of the best of like that genre comes from, and you find a
Mhm.
lot of bands that are relatively unknown from that area. Um, but they were doing really interesting things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the two that if anybody wants to get into old classic EBM, people should look into is Front 242 and Nitzareb. Those are my two of the bigger artists from that genre from back in
Didn't
the
one
day.
didn't one of the guys from Nitzareb just pass away, right?
Yeah, their
Yeah,
singer, Douglas McCarthy, he
that's
died a
right.
couple months ago. But
Yeah,
Bond
what
has been singing for them the last few years because he was sick or Douglas was sick or something.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I never
Right.
got to see Douglas, which makes me sad, but Vaughn is good. He does a good job keeping the spirit alive for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having, someone else sing if especially if they've been doing it for a while. We run into this thing right now where there's like these like tribute
Hmm.
tours, like the Lincoln
Yeah.
Park one obviously is very
Yeah.
like polarizing because it's in my opinion I think their singer's great. Um
Yeah, she's good.
Emily's great. I'm a Chester fanboy, so
Mhm.
it's hard for me to like close my eyes and get into it. And I know
Yeah.
there's been like some loose talk about like a typo tribute tour.
I've
And it's,
heard that too.
yeah, and it's kind of like, you see that thing on the internet, and I know people are like vehemently opposed to that, but also it's like if they get the right person
Yeah.
and it feels, and as long as it feels like a homage and like a tribute and not like
You're
they're,
trying to be
yeah,
typo negative.
yeah, they're trying to like resurrect. I think that was my problem with Linkin Park is they like made a new record and it felt like they were trying to like just kind of like I don't know, do this. I don't know. It felt weird to me as to where
Yeah.
some other bands do it, and like the Pantera tribute tour. I'm
Yeah.
fine with the or the way Alice in Chains did it. All right, I was even
Yeah. He's a good
fine
singer.
with.
Their current guy that they have. He's pretty good.
He sounds a lot like Lane, and plus Jerry did a lot of the vocals
Yes.
anyways, so he's still
Hmm.
singing, so that kind of helps. The typo thing's tricky though, because Peter, I mean, he does have a very different voice, and I think a lot of people ignore the fact that his bass playing too is very, very
Very
interesting and
specific. Hmm.
different. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, some bands do it right and some don't. Like, I will use Journey as an example. I feel like they were just trying to have another Steve Perry with the guy that they ended up picking, and I didn't quite like that.
It's hard to not when your singer is Steve Perry or
For
was
that
Steve
sort of
Perry.
thing, yes,
You know,
definitely.
it's like one of the best, like arguably one of the best rock singers of that era. So it's hard to. I know, like Soundgarden had a moment, and they might still be doing it right now, where they were trying to like have another singer kind of fill this gap. And I know they had like a female vocalist for a little bit, who I think was like very like soul kind of singer. And I don't think that was working very well. But
Yeah.
it's like how do you can't. How do you fill the Chris Cornell? It's you just man
Yeah.
that person's got to be good. It's wild.
It's really challenging when you have somebody that is super, super like specific to that band to replace them. Like I can use the example of background vocals. Like that can completely change the live sound if you don't have them like in like the studio the same way you do it live, like Ghost, for example, I'll use one of their backup singers. She left to pursue her own career and they hired somebody else. And it's to me it's not the same, but it's still good, but there's still that like little flair I feel like is missing that the other person had that this new person doesn't have. That's like my example that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, it's really hard when it's the lead vocalist to find that person.
Yeah, the lead's the hardest to replace, and any member that's doing writing and contributing creatively, um, when you switch them, there will be a noticeable difference. It doesn't matter if it's the bassist or the drummer.
Yeah.
It's how people feel. Music is all different.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to not understand that. I used to be like, well, we could just replace a drummer with another good drummer, and it's like, well, you can, but when you
Yeah.
get in and you start writing, you're going to notice a difference. There will be a
Mhm.
difference. But yeah, the singer being the hardest thing because it is the most identifiable aspect for most people of a band. And there's a lot of bands that got away with replacing their lead singer successfully. AC/DC, Van Halen,
Yeah.
um, and then there's like a lot that just didn't. And
Yeah.
yeah, it also kind of comes down to the biggest thing with music, and that is if the songs suck, then it sucks. It doesn't matter how
Yes.
good the new singer is or the players are. The song has to be great and it has to make people feel something. And if the song isn't there, it doesn't fucking matter. And that's how AC/DC got away with it. People are like, well, they replaced singers. Like, yeah, they replaced singer, and guess what else they had? Way better fucking songs. So I
Yeah.
don't know what that's just what happened when they put out Back in Black. That was like, I mean, that was just like peak songwriting for them. So
Yeah, I think they also got a lot heavier, which is what the direction of the 80s was a little more heavy in style. Because a lot of the early AC/DC stuff is very light, but it still has an edge to it, but it's not as like in your face is the right way to put it, as
Right.
like the 80s and onward AC/DC stuff.
Oh no, right. No, I agree. And then that's where something like Van Halen, they replaced their singer like a couple times, and they replaced him, David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar, and that works because the songs were still great. And then when
Yeah.
they replaced Sammy Hagar with Gary Sharon, it didn't work as well because the songs that they were writing with Gary Sharon just weren't as good as any
Yeah.
of the stuff they did with Roth or Hagar, and so people just didn't accept it. It's like, well, if the songs were amazing, everyone would have been fine with it. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's always the challenge with when you constantly replace anyone in a band, finding that right balance. Because there's some bands that just it's a revolving door of people, and it's just crazy how people do that. And I'm just like, how do you not just stick with the same people? I don't understand that.
yeah, it really depends what like you're trying to do. That's why we like with Dead on a Sunday. It's like it's just me.
Yeah.
Um,
So
you
that's
know, I
understandable because it's really just you.
Yeah, and then I just hire people on live, and I kind of did that for a reason because I've been in bands, and that's you just run into all this. It's like a marriage, and there's all this shit, and
Yeah.
people are in and out, or things are getting fucking weird because of whatever, and it's like, well, if I just do it all and then just hire people to play it live, then I don't run this risk of having like to stop doing this project or or anything weird happening, unless I just decide to say fuck it. So
Right.
mhm.
So I will conclude this because I know you said you had limited time today. What are some new stuff to look forward to for Dead on a Sunday and any upcoming tours?
When will this be out?
Probably next couple days.
Okay, we have a tour that we'll be on tour in the spring. That I can't announce it because it's not announced yet. It's not our tour. We're doing direct support for somebody.
Okay.
So we'll be out on the spring, and then yeah, there'll be a deluxe version of the record. The new album will be out at some point. There's like 4 songs that weren't released on the record that will be on a deluxe version. Um, the Necromancer, the Necromance parody cover is done. That'll be out at some point. Yeah,
Yay. So I'm
yeah,
excited for some new Dead on a Sunday stuff. It was great to have you. Maybe next time we can do a little longer so we can talk longer because it's really fun to talk to you as always. And thank
absolutely.
you so much for taking time to talk to me today.
Oh yeah, you bet. And yeah, we'll be back through Ohio, and in I think this tour's happening in May, so we'll be announcing
Okay.
it in like the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks probably.
Sounds good. And for those who may not know, where can they find you on social media?
Just anything / Dead on a Sunday.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh